Well, I think Ethereum is having its 2017 moment now, because now is the time that Wall Street will take tokenization seriously, and it's taking place on Ethereum. So I do think it is the biggest macro trade for the next decade.
So if you had to put all your money into one, though, over the next 10 years, would you choose Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Now, why are we making that a choice?
I'm just curious. If you could just only choose one.
Tom Lee just changed his outlook on Bitcoin and Ethereum for 2025. Things have changed. Welcome to the Bitcoin and Stock Market channel. On the Bitcoin and Stock Market channel, we're passionate about helping you make smart financial decisions. Our channel is dedicated to exploring the world of investing, from cryptocurrencies to the stock market. We provide information on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano ADA, and other altcoins to help you make better decisions. Follow us for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency updates, stock market.
So what's your take on Bitcoin as we head into, say, the fourth quarter, eventually in the fall? Do you think we're going higher?
Well, I think that, to me, the simplest way to think about Bitcoin is that it's gaining traction as replacement for gold. I think that if someone wanted to understand the use case for Bitcoin, and there's many, but they're not too, they don't have a lot of conviction around something, to me, I could say easily it should supplant gold. And so I think Bitcoin should be, over 1 million over time. And then I kind of prescribing to the view that there's probably a chance that maybe the 4-year cycle is ending for Bitcoin because of the way institutional adoption of that thesis is taking place. And so you have institutional and essentially permanent holders of Bitcoin coming in. So it should be good. So I think Bitcoin should really build upon this 120 before the end of the year. So, 200,000, maybe 250. I think the crypto treasuries there's going to be winners and losers because there is a scarcity to it, actually. So Bitcoin is scarce. And so it's proper for companies to have Bitcoin on their balance sheet over time. And I think banks will, because banks, as Bitcoin really does get recognized in its proper place as how you move money in the financial system, then the banking sector will actually stake Bitcoin as well. They're going to want to own it, And so these treasuries are doing what other businesses will eventually do. But for them to get a premium to their Bitcoin because of how they're executing a strategy, that is the scarce part. MicroStrategy has already proven that their strategy works because they started on August 12th, 2020. Mm-hmm. They bought 260 million Bitcoin. Stock was $13. Now they own close to 5% of the Bitcoin network.
Yeah.
And they announced a huge buy last week, but the stock is 400. It's gone up 30 times. Mm-hmm. So that's truly executed in a masterful way. I don't know if the 50 other Bitcoin treasury companies I don't know how many are. I actually looked at that website.
BitcoinTreasuries.net.
Yeah. And there's like 50 companies. Not all of them are doing treasury strategies.
Right.
But I think a handful will emerge as winners, but not everyone. So this idea of like physical money and only physical things represent value is not going to exist. So I think that's why Bitcoin's future, the best years are still ahead for crypto, Bitcoin, obviously, and Ethereum. Not everyone will agree on Ethereum, but because we have another generation of people and decision makers that are really growing up as in a world of where AI is prevalent in their lives, and then really a token economy. So I think the best years are still ahead. Bitcoin to me is proven, and a proven blockchain that in my mind is storing value. And it is, as like Michael Saylor says, it's immaculate. And I do think the simplest way to think of it is it's replacing gold. So at least let's get to 1 million, and then we can see how much further Bitcoin goes. But the world is also grappling with the digitalization of everything that we do. And so we're storing information, and we're tokenizing businesses, and we're tokenizing the dollar. And stable coins have become so important, in fact, from a policy perspective, because stable coins are now actually big buyers of treasuries collectively. I mean, that's why you may say you don't have to worry about deficits because stablecoins will buy the debt. Well, that is the ChatGPT moment for crypto, because what's happened is that the first killer app for crypto has emerged that is now seeing widespread adoption, which is stablecoins. And now Wall Street is running to tokenize and maybe even financialize their entire system on the blockchain. But that means they require smart contracts. So they're not fighting with Bitcoin. Bitcoin paved the way for Wall Street to recognize that you don't have to have tangible assets to create value. But if you're going to tokenize what Wall Street does and you tokenize stocks and real estate, you need smart contracts. And the biggest and most secure blockchain with no downtime is Ethereum. And it's legally compliant, and the majority of stablecoins and real-world assets that have been tokenized are taking place on Ethereum. So to me, that is the macro moment. So in 2017, when I first wrote about Bitcoin, I saw this as the time when Wall Street would eventually come to recognize Bitcoin's importance. So Bitcoin, of course, had already accomplished a lot because it reached 100 billion in network value. And that's why I wrote about it. It's like, if you don't believe in something that gets to 100 billion, like, you got to pay attention to. And our thesis was that Wall Street would start to view this as just digital gold. Well, I think Ethereum is having its 2017 moment now, because now is the time that Wall Street will take tokenization seriously, and it's taking place on Ethereum. So I do think it is the biggest macro trade for the next decade.
So if you had to put all your money into one, though, over the next 10 years, would you choose Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Now, why are we making that a choice?
I'm just curious. If you could just only choose one.
If I had to choose, because I'm chairman of BitMine, which is an Ethereum treasury, then I, of course, would choose Ethereum.
Well, one of the reasons I asked is you had this great clip that I actually saw a couple months back of Stanley Druckenmiller. And he was talking about how you don't need to have 30 ideas. You don't need to diversify. In fact, one idea strongly held can actually outperform everything else. And
Actually, he didn't say one idea.
Okay, so
he says
a
couple of
few.
ideas. You only need a couple ideas.
Well, okay.
So that's why I'm asking about why it's one.
Okay, fair enough. Obviously, my idea is Bitcoin.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say, in my 30 years of investment history, investing experience, I've never been told to have only one choice.
Okay.
And I've never seen anyone make a good decision based on one choice.
Bitcoin is experiencing a slight dip after a strong rally, as some investors take profits and react to broader market uncertainty. While prices remain high, the pullback shows traders are cautious due to global events, U.S. Federal Reserve decisions, and tighter links between Bitcoin and the stock market. Some large investors continue buying, showing long-term confidence, while others reduce risk. The recent dip doesn't appear to be a crash, but more of a breather after strong gains. With new regulations on the horizon and ongoing ETF flows, the market is in a wait-and-see mode. Overall, Bitcoin is holding up, just moving through a normal cycle of ups and downs.